Viktor Orban, Hungary's outgoing Prime Minister, has for years been at the centre of attention at international fora, including the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, which gets underway this week in the Turkish resort city, increasingly proud of its diplomatic relevance. Having lost the latest parliamentary elections held on the 12th of April, bringing an end to his 16-year memorable and highly consequential premiership, Orban is not participating in the 5th edition of this very forum. And Prime Minister-elect Peter Magyar, driven by a sense of purpose and propelled by his TISA party's landslide victory, is yet to be officially sworn in, still falling short of what we call full constitutional incumbency. For years, Hungary under Orban cultivated a distinctive position within the European Union, particularly on the question of Ukraine and in its relationship with Brussels. It has also emerged as an active observer within the Organization of Turkic States, adding yet another dimension to its foreign policy identity. What then will change under the new leadership and what may actually remain? You're watching Context. I'm Orkan Amashov, and joining me now is David Biro, Senior Advisor and Research Lead at the Ludovica Center for Turkic Studies based in Budapest, which is focusing on Hungary's engagement with the Turkic world and wider world in general. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us, Mr. Biro.
Thank you very much for this invitation.
Thank you very much. A lot is happening in Hungary. Hungary is in a process of political transition. Viktor Orban, technically still probably Prime Minister, although outgoing Prime Minister. Prime Minister-elect is an incoming Prime Minister. To what extent this transition, the transfer of power from one force to another, is bearing upon Hungary's presence in Turkey at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, which is happening this week?
Thank you very much. Yes, we had a very important Sunday, and Peter Magyar became a two-thirds of the majority of the parliament. And of course, we don't know yet too much about the new direction of the Hungarian foreign policy. But the recent election result in Hungary is also relevant in this context, because it signals continuity. Continuity matters in the foreign policy, because when a country keeps a stable direction, partnership become more credible. And the Hungarian position towards Turkey and of course the Turkic world has been based on constancy, and that consistency is one of the reasons why cooperation has deepened over time. And in the future, this continuity can support further engagement in the OTS framework as well, especially in areas like connectivity, higher education, innovation, and of course the economic diplomacy. And looking at the future of the Turkey cooperation more broadly, I believe we are entering a new phase. For a long time, the emphasis was on identity, symbolism, and of course, political recognition. But those elements are still important, of course, but now the agenda is much more practical. The real question is how to turn historical and cultural affinity into the real policy outcomes. How do we create jobs? How do we improve transport? How do we reduce transaction costs? How do we support businesses? And of course, how do we connect universities? And how do we improve energy security? These are the kind of questions that will define the next stage of the Turkic cooperation. And of course, the new Hungarian government and the new Hungarian foreign policy needs to reflect on it. And the good news is that the direction is positive, because the OTSs already show that it can evolve. It's institutional development, it's growing meeting culture, and of course increasing policy ambition all suggested that it is becoming a more serious player in the regional affairs.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to you for providing a comprehensive answer, but let's examine each single compartment of your answer separately. First of all, let's talk about the transition which is currently happening. How easy is this transition likely to be? We have already seen some public message coming from the incoming Prime Minister, Mr. Magyar, in his latest Twitter X post, following his meeting with the president. He criticized the president, said that the president does not really reflect the unity of the Hungarian people. And also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was also very striking and unconventional commentary on Viktor Orban himself, describing him as an absolute cinema, whilst looking at him from a balcony of the, I think, what was presidential palace. I mean, how easy this transition is going to be for this country, for Hungary, you think, bearing in mind all their commentary and so forth?
Yeah, the question is extremely important because, you know, what we've seen during this extremely turbulent campaign between the two different parties was extremely visible, and the different parties followed their own internal and foreign policy vision regarding this. And we really didn't know that what will be the result until Sunday, because the different exit polls showed different results. But right after end of the election, it was totally clear that more than 3 million voters voted for Peter Magyar and the TISZ party. And what will be the situation with the continuity? It's also an important question. What is clear, Peter Magyar will be more pro-European, because it was also a flagship moment of his campaign during this situation before the election. But I am 100% sure regarding the foreign policy, he will follow a very pragmatic foreign policy. Of course, the European situation, the EU situation is one of the most important because Hungary is part of the European Union, and also the other flagship moment was the NATO partnership, the war in Ukraine. But the Eastern policy will be also very important because Peter Magyar and also the new government wants to see how can they diversify their foreign policy, how can they diversify the energy security. And that's why it will be also very important in the next few months how they will manage this important situation, because they need to find the way, they need to find the solution, how they can continue the foreign policy situation. But I see that kind continues because also President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also expressed his gratitude to Peter Magyar, and as I've seen last night, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, the president of Kazakhstan, also congratulates to Peter Magyar, and Kabudinchbek Omuraliev, the Secretary General of the Organization of Turkic States, also expressed his gratitude to Peter Magyar. And as I read it, he also believed that they will continue this fruitful cooperation among the Turkic countries. As Hungary, as an observer,
to understand the incoming Prime Minister's political aspirations and policies better, how different is he to Viktor Orban in terms of his political identity? I mean, this is one of the most fundamental questions, of course, and both are often, by Western media at least, described as being on the right of the political spectrum and sharing certain key attributes. But how distinct are they in practice, and to what extent those differences between them may bear upon their views, and in particular their views on the European Union? I mean, basically the question is very basic. We know that Viktor Orban has always been described as somebody hell-bent and very focused on sovereignty, very much against more EU presence in terms of national politics, or advocating for sovereignty as a member of European Union. I mean, you described, and many other analysts have naturally described Peter Magyar as pro-EU, more pro-EU. How more pro-EU is he? This is question number one. And how will this pro-EU element bear upon his actual actions regarding EU policy?
This question is also on the top because until when he could not start the real work, we don't know what will be the situation with this pro-European situation. What is clear and what is understandable is that Peter Magyar also came from the same political family as Viktor Orban, because Peter Magyar was a huge supporter of the Fidesz political party, as Orban's political party. And regarding this EU situation, it was one of the most problematic part of the Hungarian internal policy in the last couple of years, because as you also follow the situation between the Hungarian government and the EU bureaucracy was an extremely critical point of the last couple of years, and Peter Magyar wanted to renew the cooperation between the European Union and the Hungarian government, and that's why was an important part. But of course, it's also a question what will be the result of this, because one of the most important question is that can Peter Magyar also bring back to this huge money to the Hungarian to Hungary from the EU, because that was also a critic from the European Union, that because they cut the line to support Hungary as a member country because of this different critical point what Hungary stands. For example, in the question of the war in Ukraine, how they could support the Ukrainian side, and also the different problematic part of the Russian energy. So that's why Peter Magyar is in the opposite side, or he was in the opposite side, but until when he could not start the work, we cannot give a full answer on this question, because we don't know what will the situation when they start the negotiation between the EU commissioners and also from the Hungarian ministers and also EU parliamentary members as well. But the question was that one side was to support the Orban's vision, and the other part wanted to support Peter Magyar's vision. And the Sunday election and also the people of Hungary decided that they would like to follow the new era, the new way of this cooperation.
What was the place of Ukraine subject in this election? Because I imagine the victory of the incoming Prime Minister was not based on his position regarding Ukraine. It must have been on some other things. What was a key matter which made him look victorious and actually achieve his political objectives, which he seems to have achieved by this victory, of course, as things stand now? And what was the place of Ukraine in that wider debate?
Mm-hmm. This situation was also a very critical point, but as you see that Viktor Orban had a very strong statement regarding this question. And Peter Magyar also has a very strict position regarding the Ukrainian question. The TISA party doesn't want to support that kind of situation, what was also the question from the European stakeholders, but that will be also part of the negotiation. How could you leave this veto position in the European Parliament, because that was also a very important weapon from the Hungarian side during the different sanctions box regarding this Ukrainian question and also the crisis. That will be also a question from the European side. How can they follow, or how can they renew the negotiation regarding this, or what will be the next step of this crisis? This is also a question from the Hungarian side as well, and also the supporters of Peter Magyar. What will be the clear vision of this? Because we also heard a lot of statement regarding not just about the war foreign policy, also the Ukrainian crisis as well, and also very sensitive points like the migrations, energy diversification, the relation with the Russian government as well. But Peter Magyar also followed their own way, also wanted to find the perfect position and the perfect way, which was between the direct European vision and also Orban's vision as well. So regarding this question, Peter Magyar gave like a third way regarding this. When we seen the different statements of Peter Magyar, he doesn't want to follow 100% the European way, and of course he was against the Orban's vision as well. So his position was in the third way regarding the different important and sensitive questions regarding this.
Yeah, let's also discuss Hungary's role within the organization of Turkic states. We quite often heard that quite often opposition, when opposition happens to be an opposition. They make lots of claims. They say that we will come, once we come to power, we'll change our policy direction. When they come to power, the differences are not as palpable as they could have been had they followed what they were preaching whilst being in opposition. This has been one of the key adages defining a political transition in many countries, including perhaps in Hungary as well. Regarding OTS, to what extent Hungary's vision regarding organization of Turkish states, regarding being a bridge between Turkic world and Europe, actually is beyond party politics and more of a matter of national interest? To what extent it was connected with the personality of Viktor Orban? What is your feeling? What is your fundamental analysis of this?
So I would like to also mention that previously I was also a member of the representation office of the Organization of Turkic States in Hungary. So I followed the different important part of the different negotiations, summits, and also the decisions regarding the cooperation between Hungary and all over the organization. Yeah, as you mentioned, that Hungary is a very important bridge between Europe and the Turkic world, and I am 100% sure we have to build on this position. So, like from our side, like the Hungarian side, I can also mention that our geopolitical position is extremely important because we are part of the European Union, we are in the middle of Europe, so position of Hungary and especially the representation office of the Organization of Turkic States in Hungary based in Budapest will be very important if the Hungarian foreign policy will follow the way of this cooperation. But of course, Hungary is an observer. Hungary is positional observer position, so we have different rights. We also could participate the official summits and also the informal summits when the Organization of Turkic States inviting states and also the ministers of foreign affairs. Hungary also has law and right to participate there. That will be, I think, the first visible point when this year the summit will be held. Hungary will join on, for example, Minister of Foreign Affairs or the head of states like Peter Magyar will join or not to this conversation. I think that will be the first very visible point of this cooperation, what will be the Hungarian way and position when this informal summit will be held, with Hungary or without Hungary. Because
that's very interesting. Allow me to put to you the following question, Mr. Piro. Should we interpret incoming Prime Minister's pro-EU sensibilities as a precursor of his potential further distancing from the Organization of Turkic States? Because I think those two things may go hand in hand. I mean, being an observer member of or being a country with an observer status at the Organization of Turkic States does not necessarily militate against being a full member and active member of the European Union. You said that next informal summit will be an indication whether there will be a change. So you're not entirely sure about what you said earlier. You earlier said that you expect continuity beyond party politics, but you have some reservations as well, as I understand. Am I right to interpret what you said in this way?
Of course, yes. But regarding this, if we could show to the European stakeholders why the Turkic region is important, but I am 100% sure, of course, they know it, because not only Hungary has the deep relation with the Turkic world. For example, Italy, France also has their own business and their own bilateral relation with all over the Turkic world, especially in Turkey, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, based on energy and any other field. But Hungary's position as an observer in the Organization of Turkic States can help to deepen the cooperation between the Western European countries, the Central European countries, and also, for example, the Balkan countries' cooperation between each other. That's why, for example, I think it will be a very useful moment that we could organize a V4, a Visegrad 4, and the OTS summit here in Hungary, and we could also show the Central European countries, like the V4 countries, especially Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and also Poland, to show that possibility and also the possible way between the Turkic world and the Central European, and also we could use the representation office for it. We can also organize a couple of expert meetings, minister-level meetings as well. So I think we should find the benefit of this cooperation.
I'm going to put to you, Mr. Burrow, my last question. Just as continuation of this discussion involving Hungary's relation with Organization of Turkic States, with individual Turkic countries, what to expect from Hungary-Azerbaijan relations? Azerbaijan has been a founding member of the OTS and has built a close and very intricate and multifaceted relationship with Hungary over the years. Energy is an important component of it. Southern Gas Corridor is an important element of this relationship. There are some other green energy projects as well, where the Black Sea region. What do you expect for this? What does the future hold for this relationship, you think, in store?
I see and I feel a very benefit future regarding the cooperation between Hungary and Azerbaijan as well. I think it never was a question. Azerbaijan is a very important country in the field of energy from the Hungarian side and all over the European countries as well, especially from the EU countries as well. It's not a question, as you also mentioned, the gas corridor, and also we could also make deeper from the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum pipelines, through the Trans-Anatolian, Trans-Adriatic pipeline, through the Balkan. Without Azerbaijan, we cannot see the future of the cooperation between the East and West. And as we see that, Azerbaijan will be and still a key player and a key country if we would like to follow the way without Russia, without the Russian energy. So I see a very important and very crucial future between the parties, especially between Hungary and Azerbaijan as well. So I'm 100% sure all of my colleagues who related to the Turkic world, we would like to work on that way that we should continue to build a future, a benefit future between the parties. So that I think it was never a question.
David Burrow, thank you very much indeed for your answer, for your analysis. As I understand, the political differences between outgoing Prime Minister Viktor Orban and incoming Prime Minister Peter Magyar has never been, those differences have never been about Azerbaijan or Hungary's relationship with Organization of Turkic States, but some other domestic internal political matters, perhaps some matters related to EU and Russia. Therefore, you expect largely, with some perhaps reservations, degree of continuity in Hungary's foreign policy regarding OTS and individual Turkic countries, including Azerbaijan and Azerbaijan. That was my inference from this discussion, and I'm very, very grateful to you for your time. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. David Burrow, Senior Advisor and Research Lead at Solidovica Center for Turkic Studies based in Budapest, Hungary. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, Hungary now finds itself in a moment of palpable transition. The former Prime Minister, outgoing Prime Minister Viktor Orban, no longer in office, technically speaking. The Prime Minister-elect yet to assume full constitutional incumbency. And it is precisely in such moments that one gains what one may call a glimpse of what may come later, both in terms of the country's relations with the European Union, Organization of Turkic States, and its broader network of international partners. You've been watching Context. I'm Orkan Amashov, and see you very soon indeed.